Hello friends, my name's Dave from Chase the Summit. Today we're going to be taking a look at a very odd little action camera called the MOZA MOIN. This is one of the weirdest releases I've ever been a part of on this YouTube thing that I do. Moza reached out a couple of weeks ago and offered to send this action camera out to me for the purpose of review, which they did, and thank you Moza for doing that, but this was super weird. Basically, at first glance, just by looking at the cover of the box here, you can see that the MOZA MOIN camera here looks almost identical to something like a DJI Pocket. And you can see up above there, it says MOZA MOIN Pocket. And what's interesting is that they actually changed the name of this after they sent out the demo units to reviewers on YouTube. I gotta guess that's because they got sued or something. I'm not sure. I'm just speculating there, but it's kind of funny to see that the box actually has the wrong name of the product here. It's actually gonna be called the MOZA MOIN camera. The other odd part to this is they didn't send out any like highlight or specs or anything. Basically, I just got the box with the camera in it, and I kind of had to learn all about it on my own. So let's open up the box and see what's inside this odd little camera. I've already used this camera a couple of times, but I figured I'd show you anyways what came inside the box because it's kind of interesting. So you can see it says MOZA MOIN on the front here. Let's ignore that pocket part because they changed the name. Below that it says MOZA AirTist, Wi-Fi, 4K 60p, and Bluetooth, which are all good things. You can flip it over here and it says there's a 2.45-inch Super HD display, a 120-degree viewing angle, which is cool, 3-axis motorized gimbal built in, the MOZA digital stereo system for microphones, I'm guessing, motion time lapse, and it's got a 1/2.3-inch HD sensor, which I think is similar to something like an iPhone 12 sensor. Now here's one of many weird things. On the side here, it shows this MOZA AirTist app, and you can scan the barcode to install the companion app on your phone. And here it says you can edit and do viewfinder mode and all these things within the app. However, when I scan this with my phone, it brings me to the MOZA Genie app, which can't do any of this stuff. There's actually no way to pair the smartphone app to this camera yet. So yeah, that's the first weird thing I ran into. Okay, so let's open up the box here. And the interior of the box is actually pretty cool. They've got like kind of a design sketch thing going on over here to show you what parts are what. And then over on the right here, we've got the camera itself underneath this little see-through plastic thing. So I'm gonna take the camera out and we'll put the box aside for a second. So here's the case that it comes with, and the case is actually really nice looking. It's got this kind of canvas feeling to it. It's got a zipper around the side, and inside you'll find the MOZA MOIN camera. So here's the MOZA MOIN camera, and you can see right off the bat it does look a lot like a DJI Osmo style camera. It's got a gimbal on top. It's a very similar gimbal to something you'd find on like a drone, but it's handheld instead. On the back here, you can find your menu button along with a record button. Underneath, you've got the SD card slot, and you've got a USB Type-C charging port. The battery is built in, so you cannot remove it. And then there's the most unique part of this product, which is this swivel out screen on the side here. So if I go ahead and power on the camera by holding the menu button, you can see that the gimbal just stabilized. And when I move it around, it's nice and stable. And then over here on the display, you can see the very high contrast view of my camera up front here. So here's another big pain point I found with the MOZA MOIN camera so far. Basically, you can change settings like 4K 24p up to 4K 60, and the menu works okay here. But if you swipe down from the top, there's a whole lot going on here that I don't quite understand. Like, there's no instructions in the box. And up in the left here, there's like an M with a square around it. I kind of assumed that would be manual mode, but if you click that, it doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't do anything. I don't know what it's supposed to do, but it does nothing. Then you've got things for like tilt lock, and you can lock out the menu, which all that stuff works. But when you dive into the menu settings here, you can see that some of the words in the menu are actually overlapping themselves. Like the sensitivity setting up top here is running into other words. If you can get by all the quirkiness in the menu system and the lack of instructions that come along with the camera does work, and it will record video. And to put it to the test, I brought it out with my GoPro Hero 9 Black. This is my go-to camera when I'm running and stuff. So I wanted to compare the MOZA MOIN camera to the GoPro Hero 9 Black and see what they look like side by side. I kind of assumed that this camera would get better image quality because it has the built-in gimbal, and that the Hero 9 Black would kind of suffer a little bit, but let's take a look. Hello there. Right now we are out walking down the sidewalk with the new... That was a loud ambulance that just drove by. Right now we're walking down a sidewalk with the new MOZA MOIN camera, and I also have the GoPro Hero 9 Black with me. And right now we're just comparing them side by side in kind of a noisy environment. with cars driving by and stuff. Can you hear my voice? How do I sound? Now I'll just talk a little bit longer so you can actually hear my voice a little bit longer. I don't have anything to talk about, but at least you can hear my voice. This is also a good opportunity to check out what a backlit situation looks like with the dynamic range of both cameras. Again, the MOZA MOIN camera and the GoPro Hero 9 Black side by side. And now we're getting on the trail. Let's see what they look like. See if you can hear me in the wind. Now we're running along with the MOZA MOIN camera and the GoPro Hero 9 Black at a jog. It's a little bit windy. Now, as you can see, the GoPro Hero 9 Black clearly looked better in my opinion. It had more dynamic range, just everything about it looked a little bit better. I also think that the audio quality on the GoPro Hero 9 Black was a little bit better than the MOZA MOIN camera. So there's that. I do like the flip out display on the MOZA MOIN camera. It made it really easy to use. You can also flip it to face you and then click the button 3 times to get into selfie mode. The MOZA MOIN camera also has face tracking, so if you kind of move the camera around, it'll try to center your face with the gimbal, and that worked some of the time, but it wasn't very accurate. Another weird thing that I've noticed on the MOZA MOIN camera, if you're using it for a selfie shot, you're not really in focus because this camera doesn't have autofocus, much like the GoPro. The focus on this is just set too far away from the camera. So everything in the distance is in focus, but nothing close to the camera. Whereas the GoPro will keep everything in focus within a couple of feet, so you can hold it out at an arm's length and get a pretty good shot. And finally, my last complaint with this camera is the fact that there's nowhere to mount it. So there's no 1/4-20 mount on this, like a standard tripod mount, but there's also no way to attach like a GoPro mount to it. And the other issue I found is that underneath the camera is where your USB Type-C input is and the SD card. So if you put this thing down on something like dirt, you're actually going to allow dirt to get into those slots. That might be an issue. There's no covering for those ports. Okay, so you might be wondering why I'm making this video. I'm not really sure. I just found this thing so quirky and strange that I thought it would be worth talking about. If this was from any other brand, I'd be thinking this was like some overseas knockoff of a DJI that you typically find on eBay or like Alibaba or whatever. But this just isn't the case. This is branded by MOZA. And MOZA, if you didn't know, is a pretty big company that makes really nice gimbals and professional video equipment for like big cameras. And this is actually the first time they made a camera themselves, but it's just so weird. And at $300, if I had to compare it to other cameras on the market, like the GoPro Hero 9 Black, which is about $50 more, I'd probably go for the GoPro in this price range. I'm not sure what else to tell you. Either that or something like a DJI Osmo Action would probably be a way better value than a camera like this. Anyways, I don't really mean to trash this thing. It is an interesting product. And maybe with some firmware updates, they can make it more compelling. I think that's all I've got for this strange little video about a strange little camera. If you made it to the end, you might consider subscribing down below and giving me a thumbs up because it really helps out my channel, and then you won't miss more videos like this in the future. And if you are interested in this camera for whatever reason, I'll try to find a link for it and I'll put it in the description down below. Okay, well, this one was weird. I guess I'll see you next time.